Welcome back. Today we're going to talk about Jesús Franco's Vampyros, Lesbos. One of the more popular horror films of 1971, and probably Jesús Franco's most popular film out of the 170 or 180 films that he did. We talked about Franco a few times in 1970. He did The Throne of Fire, also known as The Bloody Judge, with Christopher Lee. He also did Count Dracula, the Spanish co-production version of Count Dracula, also with Christopher Lee. He also did Eugenie with Christopher Lee in 1970, which we mentioned, although I don't really think that's a horror film. So he did like 6 films in 1970, did 4 more in 1971. And the second one he did for 1971 is Vampyros, Lesbos, which of course translates to Lesbian Vampires. This was a German-Spanish co-production. Franco, of course, is Spanish, but they weren't really ready for a whole bunch of purely Spanish horror films yet in these days. If you've watched our other videos, you've heard about the dictatorship that was going on there, and they didn't want Spanish horror films to be set in Spain, so they end up getting set in other places. This one's actually set in Turkey, various locations in Turkey. Let's back it up a little bit. Let's talk about Jesús Franco a little bit more. We talked about him before, but I don't think I really gave him enough attention before. This is a photo of Jesús Franco playing Mehmet in Vampyros, Lesbos. Very odd, probably the most oddest character in the movie. Here he's tied up Linda, the main character of the film. Tied her up and is about to torture her with a hacksaw. But anyway, we'll talk about that more later. I wanted to mention this. Gritos en la Noche, Screams in the Night, also known as The Awful Dr. Orloff. Jesús Franco's first horror film, put out in 1962, and also considered to be the first full-length Spanish horror film, even though they set it in France because they weren't allowed to set it in Spain. Alright, so anyway, Franco made like a million films. And I think that Vampyros Lesbos is like his 23rd film or something like that in a decade. So, what's it about? Vampyros Lesbos is a dreamy vampire movie which is about a woman named Linda who has dreams about a vampire woman that comes and has sex with her and bites her in the neck. And she wakes up and she tells her therapist about these dreams, and she says she really likes the dreams. And the therapist says it's probably because your husband is not sexually actually, maybe it's her boyfriend. The therapist says he's not sexually satisfying you, so you better go find a new lover. Well, meanwhile, Linda is an agent for, I think, like a real estate firm or a financial firm in Turkey. Well, kind of a random place to set this. She has to travel to this, like the Asian part of Turkey for her job, to like a chain of islands. But before she gets to the islands, she has to like take a boat out to the islands, so she stays in this hotel. And that's where Jesús Franco shows up as Mehmet, and he comes up to her and says, "Hey, don't go to those islands. Death awaits on the islands." And she says, "Okay." And then he says, "Come see me tonight." She says, "Okay." So she goes to see him tonight, and he's like torturing some woman. So then she's like, I'm getting out of here. She ends up going to the islands. She meets the woman of her dreams, the Countess Nadine. Countess Nadine is the heir to Count Dracula's estates. And Count Dracula is apparently dead, although we don't know why. Now, that's the basic premise of this movie. It doesn't go much deeper than that. The movie is very, very artsy. It's kind of like a Jean Rollin film, except like not as good. The music is cool. You can hear it. It's not very horror-ish, but it does fit the movie quite well. There are a lot of lesbian sex scenes in this movie, like a lot. Like it's almost a porn at times. I like the plot, but the movie probably could have been like 40 minutes long. And the rest of it is basically just like weird, naked lesbian stuff. Which, I mean, I don't dislike that. Actually, as far as Franco's films go, I haven't found any of them that I really like so far, although I've only attempted to watch like 6, 7, or 8. And he puts like a lot of sex in his movies, and like usually it's just like pointless because, you know, if that's what you want to get out of a movie, you could just watch actual porn. Especially today. I mean, actually, if you think about it, at the time, he's putting a lot of sex in his movies in 1969. So at the time, you couldn't just go watch regular porn. So today, it's different. You just turn on the internet and it's there. So what I wanted to say was that this one was the first one that I've seen from him where the sex is actually, like, nice to watch. Like, it's very artistically done. Like, the women are beautiful, and I don't know, it's just like, it doesn't, even though it is gratuitous, it doesn't feel as gratuitous as some of his other movies. So, overall, I'd give this one a 7 out of 10. I know there's people out there who thinks this movie is like totally perfect and like one of the best movies ever. When it came out, most of the reviews for it were like pretty lukewarm, I think. But as time went on, it got a huge cult following and has risen to be Franco's probably most popular film. So that's really all I have to say about this one. It's like pretty decent. Probably a movie that anyone who's watching this channel should watch at least once. I don't think I possibly could ruin it. I'm not going to tell you the end or anything, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I did want to say that we've done like 17 or 18 movies. I think 18 movies in 71, and this is the 8th vampire film out of 18 movies. And vampires were also the most popular subgenre of 1970. I think there were like 15 vampire films in 1970, and we already hit 8, and we're not even close to being done with 71. Not even close. So, vampires. Sexy vampires. Sexy vampires with like psychedelic porno music in the background. That's pretty much what you're going to get out of this one. Oh, I should also say that the use of the color red in this film is very cool. There are not a lot of colors besides like black, white, gray, and then like a lot of red. So I liked it visually. I liked the score. It's different. It's cool. Check it out. See you next time.